Holy Crab restaurant in Arcadia is using a humanoid robot called Pepper to welcome customers. I wanted to talk to Pepper and shake hands with him, but it seems he didn't quite understand my intentions. That's one issue with robots meant to interact with humans. The technology doesn't always work. The other issue is, when the technology someday works well, will these machines take jobs from humans? One restaurant manager here who didn't want to go on camera told me they're not worried because this Pepper can't really do anything but play with kids. But this is just one version of Pepper, which is a programmable robot created by SoftBank Robotics. The robot allows users to add functions to its system. It's designed to interact with humans by recognizing vocal tones and facial expressions. SoftBank Robotics also made another humanoid robot called Now, which can play games with kids.
Behaviors and movements.
Socially assistive robots aim to help people and make people better through social interaction, especially children, and then with elderly adults as they age, kind of helping them stay engaged and keeping their brains healthy.
Eric Dunn is part of USC's Interaction Lab, which has used socially assistive robots to help children with autism. They also designed their own social robots called Kiwi.
It's a hummingbird owl. It's two animals that people are familiar with but have no real expectations of, so they're kind of okay with whatever we do. The problem with making super realistic, especially humans, is like people have a very established mental model of how humans behave, right? So they're very good at perceiving when something's off.
Eric says socially assistive robots are not designed to replace human caregivers. They are supposed to augment work done by people.
A lot of these robots are designed, okay, they go to therapy with an occupational therapist like once a week or however long, right? And then they can go home and do extra practices with these robots. The robots can get really nice data to give back to the therapist so they can do like quicker and more personalized work.
Walter Martinez teaches robotics at California State University, Long Beach. He used Now to help his 7-year-old nephew Jacob, who was diagnosed with autism.
Hello, my name is Now.
The experiment we did was to have him recognize his name. So his name is Jacob. But when you call him Jacob, he really doesn't respond. So it took exactly 10 weeks for him to respond when the robot called him, "Hey Jacob," or "Jacob."
Hello, Jacob.
He would finally turn around and be, he knew that he was calling him.
Robot, robot.
One of the things that I think attracted him to it was the voice. So having the nice voice, calming voice, relaxing voice, helped that as well. And so I think he developed a bond with that.
I'm over here, follow me.
Martinez also wants to make Pepper into his teaching assistant by pre-programming questions that students usually ask.
And sometimes I'm very tired or I don't want to stand too long. And so I want the robot to do the class for me, at least partially, or to answer questions to students. Some students are kind of afraid to ask the teacher. They don't want to raise their hand or ask questions. But I think they would be willing to ask a robot easier.
Martinez has been making robots for 3 decades. His latest creation is a 3D printed humanoid robot called Evo. Humanoid robots like C-3PO in movie Star Wars always fascinated him when he was a child in Honduras.
And so people have been fascinated with this idea of giving life to things that are not supposed to have life.
The robot Evo has no artificial intelligence added yet, but Martinez can make the robot move just by thinking about it.
So what I got here is a Bluetooth EEG. So what it does is it reads the synapses of your neurons.
Martinez uses this technology to make the robot move forward and backwards by changing his concentration level in brain.
I can make it stop.
Martinez wants to add a chatbot like Alexa to the robot in the future. What's the first sentence you want to teach him to speak?
How do you feel?
Why do you think that's important?
I like to know its status of all the sensors. Just like we humans, we monitor ourselves all the time. We want to know how we're doing, how we're feeling. So I like to know how it's feeling.
Do you want to add some silicone gels so it can look more like a human?
Yeah, so if you look at the robots like Sophia, for example, from Hanson Robotics, they created that Frubber. It's a human-like skin. The problem is that you reach that uncanny valley, they call it, right? When it starts to look way too much like a human. And I don't know that I want to reach that particular point.
Are you scared of it?
Oh, not at all. No, not at all. I love robots, and it doesn't matter to me. But I don't think that I want it to be to that level, because then people don't really accept them as well. If you look at the Japanese robots, for example, one of the things they do is they make him look like cartoon characters. I noticed that people's reactions with this guy is a little bit more scare. They don't want to react to it as well. But when they see Pepper, they want to approach it and touch it. Now, I'll tell you one experiment that I did. I put Evo in between hundreds of students that were walking in a hallway. And one of the things that people first do is they're shocked to see this thing next to them. But then the other thing they do is they look around to see who's controlling it. So they immediately assume that it's remote control. So when I see a robot interacting with people and they're not looking around to see who's controlling the robot, then I'll know we reached that point where robots have been accepted in the world.